Hosea 1. The unfaithful wife. The word of Adonai that came to Hosea, son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, king of Israel, when Adonai first spoke with Hosea, Adonai said to Hosea, "Go, get yourself a prostitute as a wife and children with a prostitute, for the land is an unfaithful prostitute, far from following Adonai." So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And Adonai said to him, "Name him Jezreel, for in yet a little while I will visit the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu. I will destroy the kingdom of the house of Israel. In that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel." Then she conceived again and bore a daughter. He said to him, "Name her Lo-Ruhamah. For no longer will I have compassion on the house of Israel, that I should ever pardon him. But on the house of Judah I will have compassion, and deliver them by Adonai their God. Yet not by bow, sword, or battle, nor by horses or horsemen." Excuse me. After she weaned Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and bore a son. Then he said, "Name him Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not yours." Hosea chapter 2. Restoring the covenant promises. Yet the number of Bnei Israel will be like the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or counted. Instead, "You are not my people," being said to them. They will be called children of the living God. Then the descendants of Judah and descendants of Israel will be gathered together. They will appoint themselves one head, and they will go up from the land, for the day of Jezreel will be great. Say you to your brothers, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah, "Contend with your mother, contend, for she is not my wife, nor I her husband. Let her put away her fornications from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Or else I will strip her naked and expose her, as on the day she was born. Then I will make her like a wilderness, yes, I will make her like a desert land, and I will let her die of thirst. I will have no compassion for her children, for they are children of prostitution. For the mother has practiced prostitution, she who conceived them has been shameful. For she said, 'Let me go after my lovers, who are giving me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. Therefore, see, I will hedge her in the thorns, and I will build a wall around her, so she cannot find her path. And she will chase after her lovers, but she will not overtake them. She will seek them, but not find. Then she will say, 'Let me go, and return to my first husband, for it was better for me then than now.' But she did not realize that I myself gave her the grain, the wine, and the fresh oil. I lavished on her silver, also gold, which they made into Baal. Therefore I will return and take back my grain in its season, and my new wine at its appointed time. And I will snatch away my wool and my linen for covering her nakedness. So now I will uncover her lewdness to the eyes of her lovers, and no one will rescue her from my hand. I will also put an end to all her rejoicing, her feasts, her new moon, her Shabbat, and all her Moedim. I will also devastate her vines and her fig trees, of which she said, 'These are my payment that my lovers have given to me.' But I will turn them into a thicket, and beasts of the field will devour them. Then I will punish her for the days of Baalim, to whom she would burn incense, adorning herself with herring rings and jewelry, going after her lovers. But me she forgot." It is a declaration of Adonai. Compassion and covenant love. So then I myself will entice her. I will bring her into the wilderness and speak to her. I will give her back her vineyards from there, and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. She will respond there as in the days of her youth, as in the days she came up out of the land of Egypt. In that day it is a declaration of Adonai. You will proclaim, "My husband," and never call me my Baal. Then I will remove the names of the Baalim out of her mouth, no longer to be mentioned by their name. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the flying creatures in the sky, and the creeping things on the ground. I will break into pieces the bow and the sword, and warfare from the land, and I will cause them to lie down securely. And I will betroth you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you to me with righteousness, justice, covenant loyalty, and compassion. I will betroth you to me with faithfulness, and you will know Adonai. So it will be in that day I will respond. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will respond to the skies, and they will respond to the earth. And the earth will respond with grain, new wine, and fresh oil, and they will respond with Jezreel. I will sow her in the land for myself. I will have compassion to Lo-Ruhamah. I will say to Lo-Ami, "You are my boy, you are my people," and they will say, "My God." Hosea chapter 3. Buying back his wife. Then Adonai said to me, "Go again, love a woman who is loved by a companion and committing adultery, just as Adonai has loved." Benaiah Israel while they were turning to other gods, and so loving raisin cakes. So I brought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and for an omer and a half of barley. Then I said to her, for many days you must stay with me. You must not practice prostitution. You must not have a man, and I will be the same toward you. For Benaiah Israel will remain for many days without king, without prince, without sacrifice, without sacred pillar, and without ephod or teraphim. Afterwards, Benaiah Israel will return, and they will seek Adonai their God and David their king. Then they will turn in awe to Adonai, to his goodness in the last days. Hosea chapter 4, destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hear the words of Adonai, Benaiah Israel, for Adonai has a dispute with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no covenant loyalty, and no knowledge of God in the land. Curse, deceive, murder, steal, commit adultery. They practice violence, and bloodshed follows bloodshed, and everyone dwelling in it will languish along with the beasts of the field and the flying creatures of the sky. Even the fish of the sea will be removed. Yet let no one dispute, and let no one argue. Your people are like Kohen, who make quarrels, so you will stumble by day. Also, prophet will stumble with you by night. When I destroy your mother, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Since you rejected knowledge, I will also reject you from being my Kohen. Since you forgot the Torah of your God, just so I will forget your children. The more they multiplied, the more they sinned against me. I will change their glory into disgrace. They feed on the sin of my people and relish their iniquity. But it will be like people, like Kohen, so I'll punish them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They have eaten, but will not be satisfied. They have fornicated, but will not increase, for they stopped giving heed to Adonai. Prostitution and wine, even new wine, it takes away understanding. My people consult their wooden idol, and their divine rods informs them, for a spirit of prostitution leads them astray, and they have been a prostitute out from under their God. They sacrifice on the mountaintops of the high places. They burn incense under the oak poplar, and terebinth, for its shade is good. Therefore your daughters are prostitutes, and your daughters-in-laws commit adultery. Will I not punish your daughters for prostitution, or your daughters-in-law for adultery? For they consort prostitutes, and they sacrifice with cult prostitutes. A people without understanding will be thrust down. Though you, Israel, are a prostitute, let Judah not become guilty, but do not come to Gilgal, or go up to Beth-aven, and do not swear as Adonai lives, for Israel is stubborn like a stubborn cow. Now Adonai will pasture them like a lamb in the open field. Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Their liquor has come to an end. They surely have practiced prostitution. Her rulers have deeply loved disgrace. A wind will wrap her up in its wings, and they will be ashamed of their sacrifices. Hosea chapter 5, judgment for betrayal. Hear this, O priests, pay attention, O house of Israel, give ear, O house of the king, for the judgment applies to you. For you were a snare at Mizpah and a net spread on Tabor. Rebels were deep in slaughter, so I'm a chastisement for them all. I myself have known Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, Ephraim, you are a prostitute, Israel is defiled. They will not give up their evil deeds to return to their God. For a spirit of prostitution is in them, and Adonai they have not known. The pride of Israel will answer to his face. Israel and Ephraim will stagger in their iniquity. Judah will also stumble with them, with their flocks and with their herds. They will go to seek Adonai. They will not find him. He has withdrawn from them. They have betrayed Adonai, for they have begotten foreign children. Now the new moon will devour them with her portions. Blow a shofar in Gibeah, a trumpet in Ramah, sound an alarm in Beth-aven. Behind you, Benjamin, Ephraim will become desolate in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel, I made known what is certain. The princes of Judah were like those who move a boundary mark. I pour out my fury on them like water. Oppressed is Ephraim, crushed by judgment, for he willingly followed a worthless thing. So I will be like a moth to Ephraim, and like a decay of the house of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah his wound, Ephraim went to Assyria and sent envoys to a warring king. But he cannot heal you, nor will he cure your wound. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, and a young lion in the house of Judah. Even I will tear them to pieces and go away. I will carry off, and nobody will rescue. I will go and return to my place until they admit their guilt, and they will seek my face in their distress. They will seek me earnestly.